I'm Faith, and welcome to Faith's Take, where I talk about anything and everything that I find interesting. And this is my review vlog for the first episode of Encore on Disney+. Encore is a show produced by Kristen Bell. It takes a high school drama team that did a musical back in their high school days up to decades ago, gets them all back together as adults, and has them re-perform the exact same musical. And based on the first episode, they only have 5 days to meet up again, rehearse, practice, all that good stuff. And the first episode focused on 9 performers from Santana High School in Santee, California, who performed Annie back in 1996. It was surprisingly enjoyable. I watched the show, I should have said this first, my apologies, on the recommendation of my great Patreon supporter, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan, for suggesting this show, because it was actually a lot of fun and very interesting to watch. I'm a big fan of any kind of behind-the-scenes look at any kind of performance, music, film, stage, television, anything like that. Even, whether it's fiction, real, whatever, I love that stuff. So getting to see all these people, see them with their families, see what their lives you get a little taste of what their lives are like, whether they're a teacher or a police deputy or work in like a factory, anything like that. And then you see them get together. They had actually I don't know if they're gonna have the same director and song and dance people with them every time or not, but the director for this one, I didn't catch her name, but she got a freaking Tony nomination for Ragtime. So it's like they're not messing around, like they're giving them really good people to work with and to put this thing together, which is really cool. And at first, I will admit that at the very beginning I was like, none of them can sing at all out of these 9 main people, that they at least showed. And I was like, well, these aren't real performers. These are former high school performers. Same thing with, I was like, who doesn't know the lyrics to The Sun'll Come Out Tomorrow? Like, I think it's just called Tomorrow, but I was like, who doesn't know all the lyrics to that song? But then I realized that the reason I know the lyrics to that song isn't because of Annie, it's because of Petula Clark on The Muppet Show. So I was like, okay, I won't be too hard on them for not knowing that, because I don't even know it because of the actual musical. One of the things that I thought was really interesting was the human relation aspect of this show, which is probably would be considered one of the sappiest things about it. But if you've watched my videos for a while, you know that I'm I can like sap if it's done right. But the difference between this and like written sap is that this is more real. Like, yes, they're on camera. Yes, they know that it's like for a show. But these are like their real lives, and them being like, yeah, I didn't have friends in high school, or people didn't like me in high school, or I thought that I'd get married to my high school sweetheart and it didn't happen, and all these things. Or like people that were best friends in high school that had a fight and then didn't speak to each other again. And while I can't relate to it for school because I was homeschooled, I can relate to it for church. When I was 15, my family left this church, and we didn't completely stop talking to that family. We were kind of connected through work to a certain degree, but then finally it got to be too much and we completely disconnected from that family because of just some stuff going on that I'm not going to get too into or anything. But then my Nana's memorial happened at the end of September, and they all, or almost all, showed up, and it was like all the junk that had happened hadn't happened. And there is something about, they say time heals all wounds, and I'm not going to say everything is fully healed. We're not out, we haven't, seen them in the last, 6-7 weeks, however long it's been at this point. But I could relate to, you have a falling out with someone, or you just don't see a person again for years and years, and then you see them again, and it can be more normal. It doesn't have to be hostile, or it's always worse in your mind than you think, than what ends up being worse the way you think. So that was cool to kind of see that play out, having just experienced that myself. And it showed a lot of, their lives going forward. And the two things, like, it shows how the woman who played Annie, her name was actually Annie, and that she had dreamt of performing and went to New York, met her husband, and then when they were going to have their first kid, she decided to, pull back and instead traded that for a family. And she's still interested in performing, but right now, she hasn't been actively pursuing it. And, that's real life. It's not like the movies where everyone that's like, I'm gonna leave high school and go to Broadway, and they don't all make it. They choose other things. Um, and the other story that really hit me that was really cool was this guy Jeremy, who was a police deputy. Um, that he, as a teenager, he had cancer and he lost his hair, but he fought to stay in school and to have his friends and be able to do things that teenagers can do. And clearly he fought it. He's alive today, which is great. Um, but the thing is that he played the character of Daddy Warbucks in the play, and Daddy Warbucks is bald. And even though he had a shaved head, he wasn't completely bald. And he was really against it. My first thought was like, well, yeah, the dude had cancer. He lost his hair. Of course he's not going to want that. But you actually see him come to like realize and kind of feel ashamed almost for not wanting to be completely shaved because of that. Um but he does it, which was so strong of him to do. And again, it didn't feel like that was just for the show. This felt like a guy that was going through something, or like the again Annie, who played Annie, she lived close enough to where this was happening that she could actually go home to her family for a night and kind of recharge with them. And those are both so real to me because while I have never had cancer, I have known people that have had this or these types of illnesses, or you know when your body, especially, but your body, your brain, your family, whatever, you're forced to go through something and it's unpleasant. You don't want to do it again. So of course he wouldn't want to be bald again. And then with Annie having to go home for a night with her family, she was saying things the evening before she left where she was like, you can't go home again. What if this turns into a bad memory instead of a good one? And as someone with anxiety disorder, I felt that very well because it's like anxiety sometimes takes your best memories and even in hindsight can make them the worst and make you think, I was an idiot, or this terrible thing happened, or this terrible thing is gonna happen. Like when you're in the moment, you feel like things are gonna go wrong even if they're not, and it can ruin the memory for you. So I could really like see my own experiences in that, and it reminded me to not to enjoy the moment and not worry and not ruin current moments or previous good memories because of my own anxiety and issues. Another thing they talked about was they just briefly mentioned in their when they were sharing like memories from high school how like no one wanted to stand out, no one wanted to be seen as weird or the weird kid. But then you see these adults and they've grown up into, you know, again, everyone has their issues, but as far as we can tell, healthy, normally functioning adults with jobs or with families or both. And I think this could honestly show teens that watch it like, yeah, life may suck right now, or you may think you have these problems, but you are not alone in having problems. Everyone has their issues, but everyone can also grow up healthy and fine and live adult lives even when it feels like you can't. I mean, again, Jeremy had freaking cancer and he was able to go off and have his family and have his job. And another thing too was Kristen Bell came the opening night. She actually came, or the night of the performance. She came to watch it, which is really cool. And she talked to them before they went out on stage. And she said that she felt most alive. She feels most alive and full when she's either on stage or watching people on stage, because that's where she found herself and where she found her self-esteem. And again, like this show connected with me in a lot of ways that I didn't realize that it would, from the people having, anxiety opening up about their real lives in various ways, even if it wasn't in so many words. And then for Kristen Bell saying that this is how she found herself was through the stage, because for me it's through the camera and it's through the editing process. It's through watching Riff Tracks and Mystery Science and Muppets, and then being able to also entertain people myself is a huge deal for me. And I had zero self-confidence and I wasn't in my teens either. I was in my 20s, like I still am. I was like my early 20s when I started this channel, with zero self-confidence and a lot of self-loathing just in general. And I mean, I still struggle with that sometimes. I think we all have our personal struggles like that. But I do feel most at home doing this. And when I read amazing comments from people that I've helped, or again, like just watching a riff tracks and laughing. Like for her it's the stage, for me it's this medium, it's on camera media. Another thing that I thought was really nice was right before the show they all huddled right out in like the back alley right outside the stage, and I thought they were just going to do like some cheer or something, but it looked like, when I'm at camp and you do the team of counselors who do like little prayer circles, but they actually did do a pre-show prayer, which I thought was really cool. And I believe it was Jeremy led the prayer, and he said that that's what they did before their shows, all the shows they did back in 96, and that's what they were going to do now. And I thought that was great. And, God bless them for leaving it in the show. I thought that was really cool. Finally, one of the best things, one of the coolest things was seeing the families in the audience during the performance and seeing the kids like just their eyes light up when they recognize their parents. Annie's kids and her husband had like the biggest smiles on their faces, but my favorite was Jaren's daughter. It shows his family, and his daughter like waved to him, and she was just like, oh my gosh, like you could see her face just like, oh my gosh, that's my dad on stage. And it was adorable. We had parents and siblings and wives and husbands and kids, and it was really, really cool. It was just such an interesting experience to see these people in their real lives getting to have this for a night, getting to get back together, and the implication that like this could take those what ifs of, what if you stayed in touch with these people since high school? What if you actually had made friends with them in high school and then you didn't? But then take them into, well, now then. And like now they can go forward and know these people and have these people in their lives. And I think, and this could bring, I think, newfound connections and newfound confidence and pleasant memories to all involved from what I saw. And it was kind of fun when it was showing the performance. It was kind of Muppet Show-esque in its chaos of like, it would cut back to the stage and everyone's like, what do we do next? Okay, was that good? And then other people were like, yeah, some people were chill about it and some were kind of freaking out. Or like for a minute, Annie accidentally like started a song a bar too early, things like that. But overall, like, the show goes well, and it was really fun to see. If you're at all interested in stage, or in just like I am behind the scenes of performances of any kind, if you're into people, if you're just into real people's stories, if you're into documentaries, because it's kind of like a semi-documentary series, honestly. If you're into musicals, and if you're looking for something a little different, honestly, because, I mean, you have, like, the action shows and the cartoons and the classics, and there's, like, such an abundance of shows on Disney+, but this, to me, kind of came out of nowhere as one that I'm gonna have to be watching regularly, and because I started, like, a week and a half after Disney+, there are already 2 more episodes up that I'm gonna have to watch: Beauty and the Beast and The Sound of Music. And those are super exciting for me because I'm actually way more familiar with those 2 musicals than Annie. I've seen the film, maybe the original film, maybe twice in my life. And then, of course, I know, like, the classic songs because they play everywhere, including the Muppet Show sometimes. But Beauty and the Beast and Sound of Music I know really, really well, so that'll be, like, super fun for me to see. But yeah, like, I actually do really recommend this show. I'm kind of surprised, because I guess I didn't know what to expect, and I was like, we'll see. But I thought it was actually really, not even just, like, fun, it was just very interesting. And it was really cool to see all this, like, to see it come together. If you guys would like, I could also do reviews for the next 2 episodes, and that can be up to you guys. Like, I'll still take notes and stuff, but before I film anything, just let me know if you'd like to see more of this. Same thing with other Disney Plus shows. please don't get mad at me. I still have to watch The Mandalorian. Um, I'm thinking about watching the Lady and the Tramp movie just so I can compare it to the theatrical live action remakes, see if there's anything better or worse about it because went directly to streaming instead of into any theaters. The Imagineering story I definitely have to watch because I just love Imagineering so much and just like the parks, the Disney parks so much. So I have a ton that I need to catch up on. Thank you again to Ryan for suggesting this show. Honestly, I might not have watched it at all, or at least, at the very least, it would have been like close to the bottom of my list of like the original Disney Plus things to check out. So thank you very much. Instead of being one of the last, it was the first of these new things that I've watched, and it was very fun. And I look forward to keep watching it. But if you guys have any of these that you're like, oh, definitely review that, whether it's next episode of this or definitely start this new show and check it out, or this classic show. Maybe it's something that, was from the Disney Channel. Just like anything and everything that you're interested in hearing me talk about on Disney Plus, please let me know. This could be a lot of fun content for all of us. So, and I think these could make a lot of fun videos to make and to watch. So, just let me know what you guys think. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys later.